Men today aren't getting lazier. They're just misreading their own laziness. And because of that, they surrender to an enemy that could have been defeated simply by observing it. Laziness is not a stain on your character. It's a signal, a warning that there's a disconnect between the effort you're giving and the value you believe you'll receive. When you find yourself procrastinating, it's not because you're weak. It's because your mind is refusing to invest in a goal it doesn't truly believe in. And if you keep trying to force it with sheer willpower, you'll only dig yourself into a deeper failure. Stoicism teaches, to act rightly, you must first see reality clearly. You must understand that willpower alone isn't enough. You need the wisdom to choose the right battlefield. And laziness, if you know how to read it properly, is the map pointing you toward what needs to change. If you want to know how to turn laziness into a sharp weapon instead of a silent saboteur, keep watching. What you're about to learn will permanently change how you act. If you feel the positive energy, don't forget to like this video and share a meaningful comment. 1. See that laziness is just a mental illusion. Don't trust what you feel too quickly. Stoicism teaches that emotions are like foam on the surface of the mind's ocean. They don't reflect the deeper truth. Laziness isn't your true nature. It's a temporary illusion, a distorted signal from a mind thrown off balance between effort and purpose. Most of the time, laziness appears not because you lack discipline, but because an invisible conflict is brewing inside you. You're forcing yourself to pursue something you don't believe is truly worth the effort. Maybe you're stuck using a broken method that makes action unnecessarily difficult. Worse, maybe you're chasing a goal your heart never agreed to, driven by external pressure or blind habit. And when both your body and mind revolt against that force, we call it laziness. A Stoic doesn't judge himself for feeling lazy. He sits down, studies the feeling like a philosopher. He asks, what is this emotion signaling? Is my method wrong? Is this the wrong timing? Or is the goal itself meaningless to my soul? This calm analysis disarms the illusion of laziness. Instead of letting emotions sweep him into guilt and self-loathing, the Stoic realizes laziness is just a warning light, not a death sentence. To kill laziness, you don't need spiritual whips, you need awareness. When you find yourself hesitating, don't jump straight into forcing yourself harder. Sit down, observe your mind, listen to what it's resisting, change your method if needed. Change your environment if needed. Change your goal if needed. But never surrender to fleeting emotions or crush yourself with shame. Because in the world of Stoics, the victor is not the man who never feels lazy. The victor is the man who understands his moments of laziness and turns them into fuel for clarity and right action. 2. Use resistance as a compass. On the Stoic path, resistance is not the enemy. It's a signal, a guide, a silent message from within, warning you that you've strayed off your natural course. The weak see resistance and either surrender or spiral into self-inflicted despair. The Stoic acts differently. He uses resistance as a compass to find his true direction. When you feel resistance rising, the heaviness before a task, the boredom before your work, the creeping shadow of procrastination, don't crush it with blind willpower. Face it the way you would face a messenger from the front lines, cold, sharp, without judgment. Resistance always carries a message, and a Stoic must learn to read it clearly. Sometimes, resistance means your method is wrong. You're not lazy, you're fighting against the stupidity of a broken plan. Your mind will always reject complexity, confusion, or anything that clashes with your natural instincts. When you feel resistance, the right question isn't, how do I force myself? But is there a simpler, sharper way to reach the goal? Sometimes, resistance means the timing is wrong. Not every battle is meant to be fought now. Charging into the storm doesn't make you brave, it makes you a fool. When your mind and body push back, ask yourself, is this truly the moment to strike, or does wisdom demand I wait? And sometimes, resistance means the goal itself is wrong. This is the most dangerous and the most precious signal of all. It's your soul screaming that what you are pursuing isn't worthy of you. It forces you to strip away false ambitions, the ones built on vanity, social pressure, or hidden fear. A Stoic asks, does this serve the higher ideal I have chosen to live for? Instead of fighting resistance, you must learn to cooperate with it. If the method is wrong, change it. If the timing is wrong, wait. If the goal is wrong, have the guts to throw it away. The Stoic doesn't beat his head against a wall. He adjusts his course to align with the natural order of the world and of himself. Resistance is not an obstacle, it is a map. Only a fool tears up the map when he realizes he's lost. The man who is awake unfolds it, studies it, and finds his way forward. 3. The Stoic positioning strategy. Victory in life doesn't belong to the reckless. It belongs to those who know how to position themselves correctly. This is the cold truth the Stoics understood thousands of years ago. You don't win a battle by ramming your head against the wall. You win by seeing clearly, by choosing your ground, by preparing the field before you strike. In the war against laziness and stagnation, positioning is the ultimate weapon. The first type of positioning the Stoic masters is physical positioning. No one can stay awake and productive in a chaotic space cluttered with petty distractions. If your environment makes action difficult, you're defeated before you even begin. A Stoic arranges his space like a battlefield. Minimalistic, intentional, and built to favor right action. A clean desk, distractions removed, tools of action placed within easy reach. Everything is engineered so that right action becomes the easiest choice. The second positioning is mental. A foggy mind stuffed with vague intentions will always be crushed by emotion. The Stoic never lets his tasks exist as drifting ghosts inside his head. He makes them specific, breaks them into immediate, actionable steps. Instead of saying, write a book, he says, write 200 words in the next 25 minutes. Instead of saying, start a business, he says, draft the first outreach email. Breaking things down this way makes action accessible, requires less willpower, and makes starting almost automatic. The final, and often overlooked, positioning is social. Man is a social animal. You can fight laziness alone for a while, but you won't win for long if you live surrounded by people who glorify delay, indifference, and failure. A Stoic chooses his circle with ruthless care. He makes public commitments to people who share his ideals. He seeks companions not for comfort, but for clarity and accountability. A small public promise to the right friend can weigh heavier than 1,000 silent promises to yourself. Without proper positioning, all effort is wasted. You can have the strongest will in the world, but if your environment, your plan, and your community are against you, you will still lose. A Stoic doesn't gamble his fate on fragile willpower. He builds victory in advance through smart positioning. You want to win? Stop fighting on someone else's battlefield. Build your own ground first. 1. Practice non-judgmental observation. Most people lose the battle inside their minds before they ever take a real step. They feel lazy, and without hesitation, they slap filthy labels on themselves. I'm useless, I'm weak, I'm a failure. And with that judgment alone, they bury any chance of change the moment it tries to surface. The Stoic knows, before you can act rightly, you must first learn to observe yourself. Without rushing, without condemning, without hiding. Non-judgmental observation means that when a heavy emotion rises, you don't flee or lash out. You sit with it, the way a seasoned warrior sits and watches an approaching storm, calm, alert, without fear. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, stop for 30 seconds. Don't force yourself to act. Don't drown yourself in poisonous self-blame. Just notice, this is the feeling of procrastination. It is present in me. Nothing more, nothing less. In that moment of awareness, you begin to reclaim control. When you stop fighting your emotions, they stop ruling you. Instead of reacting like a panicked beast, you start choosing your response like a rational man. A Stoic doesn't deny his emotions. He doesn't pretend to be invincible, fearless, or tireless. He faces every emotional wave with cold patience. He knows that emotions are messages, not death sentences. By practicing non-judgmental observation every day, you forge an invaluable habit, the ability to separate yourself from your temporary mental states. You are no longer a slave to laziness, discouragement, or fear. You become the commander of your own mind. And only from that position can real powerful, deliberate action begin. If you want to defeat procrastination, forget the empty promises of iron willpower. Start with 30 seconds of silence, 30 seconds of non-judgmental observation, 30 seconds of mastering yourself. 2. Decode your inner signals. A true warrior doesn't just hear the noise of the battlefield, he understands the meaning behind each sound. Likewise, a Stoic doesn't just observe his emotions, he deciphers them. Every time laziness, hesitation, or resistance appears in your mind, it's not random. It's a signal. And if you're sharp enough to decode it, you'll find the way forward instead of sinking into self-blame and failure. The first question you must ask when facing internal resistance is my current approach wrong? Many people torment themselves by forcing action through clumsy, tedious, or unnatural methods. A task so complex it paralyzes your willpower is a clear sign you need to change your approach. A vague plan, an overwhelming step, an unrealistic expectation, all of these trigger instinctive rebellion. When you feel lazy, stop and adjust your method instead of trying to crush the emotion. If the method isn't wrong, the next question is this the right time to act? Sometimes laziness doesn't reveal weakness, it reveals subconscious wisdom. Some battles need preparation. Some projects require more information. Some moves demand patience rather than blind haste. A Stoic understands that not every moment is meant for action, and that waiting for the right time is a vital part of victory. If neither method nor timing is the problem, you must face the hardest, most brutal question. Is this task truly tied to my deepest values? This is where most people collapse. They force themselves to chase empty goals, making more money to buy others' approval, gaining titles to cover up insecurity, completing tasks they don't even believe in under the weight of social pressure. When your soul refuses, your body and mind will resist. There's nothing strange about feeling lazy. There's nothing wrong with wanting to quit. In fact, it's a precious signal demanding you to re-examine your life. Decoding your inner signals isn't about making excuses for procrastination. It's about acting more intelligently, more deeply. Once you know the true cause, laziness loses its grip on you. You'll know whether to fix your method, wait for the right time, or, if necessary, summon the courage to abandon a false goal and reclaim the right path for your life. 3. Design an environment aligned with nature. Man is not a machine, nor is he some detached spirit that can act the same no matter the surroundings. Stoicism, with its cold clarity, understands that a man's actions are deeply shaped by the circumstances around him. Marcus Aurelius once reminded, "If a man slips in the mud, don't blame his shoes. Look at the mud he was standing in." So why do you keep blaming your laziness without facing the rotten environment that's choking your spirit? If you want action to become natural and effortless, you must design your environment like a favorable battlefield. A place where right action rises naturally without struggle. A wise warrior chooses his terrain before he chooses his weapon. A Stoic chooses his environment before demanding willpower from himself. Designing an environment aligned with nature means, first, eliminating unnecessary friction. A desk cluttered with useless papers, a phone constantly buzzing with notifications, social media just one click away. If you're distracted, it's not your weakness. It's the stupidity how you've set up your surroundings. Kill those enemies before blaming yourself. Next, make right action the default option. If you want to read more, place the book where your hand naturally reaches, not the TV remote. If you want to write, open your document first thing in the morning, not your browser. If you want to train, have your shoes and workout gear ready by the door. The Stoic doesn't wait for inspiration to act. He clears the path so that action becomes inevitable. Finally, remember that environment isn't just physical, it's everything you allow into your mind. Negative conversations, useless news, energy-draining relationships, all of these are part of the mental environment you must cleanse. Don't expect a strong mind if you live among the blind and the weak. A Stoic chooses his companions as carefully as he chooses his weapons. When you design your environment wisely, you no longer have to fight laziness every minute of every day. You let nature fight for you. And nature, with its cold and merciless power, always wins. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you find this video helpful. It's the best way to support me in creating more valuable content. 4. Commit to the smallest possible action. Most people fail not because they don't know what to do, but because they build massive mountains in their minds, stare at them, and collapse before even taking a step. They cling to grand, heroic goals and drown under their own overwhelm. A Stoic doesn't fall into that stupid trap. He knows that even the longest road is conquered through the smallest steps, so he commits to one thing only, the smallest possible action. When you commit to the smallest possible action, the distant finish line stops haunting you. All that's left is a single, clear movement within your reach. No inspiration needed, no willpower necessary, just start. Write one sentence in the book you dream of finishing. Place one pair of sneakers by the door instead of promising yourself you'll run 5 miles. Read one page instead of planning to read 100 books this year. One tiny action, if truly taken, crushes paralysis better than any motivational speech. This strategy is not a compromise with mediocrity, it's hard reality. A Stoic understands that your survival instincts resist big, vague, overwhelming changes. But before an action too small to resist, your mind runs out of excuses. Once you move, even just a little, momentum will carry you forward. Like a stone nudged over a slope, one tiny movement unleashes a powerful cascade. Stoicism doesn't care what grand words you shout. It only asks, what did you actually do today? Did you take one step, no matter how small, or are you still sitting there, spinning new excuses for your procrastination? Committing to the smallest possible action isn't surrender, it's the only real beginning. And if you persist, one day you'll look back and see that every great victory started from that humble, defiant first move. Number 5. Flow initiation. Real power in action doesn't come from random bursts of energy. It comes from entering a continuous flow, where time disappears, effort feels natural, and work pours out like an unstoppable river. The Stoic, with his razor-sharp observation, understands that flow is not a matter of luck. It's the result of deliberate preparation and disciplined ritual. To initiate flow, you need a simple rule. Limit your work into short, high-focus cycles and cut off deliberately before you burn out. Instead of throwing yourself into work with a chaotic mind, you decide beforehand, I will work for 30 minutes without interruption, then take a short break. No negotiation. No waiting for inspiration, just move according to the rhythm you've set. Start with a short cycle, 25 to 35 minutes, just enough to break through initial resistance, but not long enough to exhaust yourself. More importantly, don't aim to finish anything huge within a single session. Your only goal is to maintain steady movement, like a river that flows without interruption, untouched by stray thoughts or scattered distractions. When the work cycle ends, take a short break. Stand up, reset your mind for 5 minutes, and then return. Every time you come back, you must link the new work to where you left off. You're not starting over, you're continuing. That way, you don't have to climb the mountain again every time you sit down. You just take the next step from where you stopped. Tracking your progress is an essential part of cultivating flow. A Stoic doesn't blindly toil in the dark. He records his progress, not for self-congratulation, but to maintain awareness of his momentum. A brief note after each work session, how far did I advance today, keeps motivation real and prevents the illusion of progress. Flow initiation is not a gamble. It's a disciplined strategy, repeated day after day, until action becomes the natural pulse of life. A Stoic doesn't wait for feelings to push him. He builds flow through reason, through habit, and through an uncompromising respect for reality. No true awakening ever comes from empty theories. Stoicism is not a collection of feel-good quotes you read for entertainment. It's a slow, silent, and merciless process of training, where every small mistake, every second of stagnation, is dragged into the light and corrected. The journey to destroy laziness and procrastination through Stoicism is no different. It begins with awareness, moves through relentless trial and adjustment, and only ends when you wrest back full control of your actions from the invisible grip of old habits. The first stage is the uncomfortable awareness of laziness. For the untrained mind, laziness is just another feeling, something easy to ignore, something almost acceptable. But to a Stoic, it's an alarm bell. A subtle discomfort, like the faint smell of smoke warning of a coming fire. The Stoic doesn't brush aside this signal. He doesn't rush into frantic action or flee from discomfort. He stops. He observes. He allows the unease, the frustration, and the helplessness to rise fully to the surface. He faces the truth. Simply feeling lazy is itself a sign that deep change is needed, not just for a moment, but for the way he lives his entire life. After this uncomfortable recognition, the Stoic enters the second stage, the trial and adjustment of new approaches and environments. This is where real reason takes the lead. No more blindly whipping himself with hollow motivational slogans. No more forcing action inside a landscape of traps and distractions. The Stoic experiments, adjusts, and watches how his mind and body respond. He changes his method if it breeds resistance. He changes his environment if it breeds procrastination. He adjusts his action tempo if it leads to burnout. He doesn't arrogantly believe one correction will solve everything. He knows evolution demands hundreds of cycles, trial, error, adjustment, and trial again. Then, after enough smart adjustments, he enters the third stage, when natural productivity starts to appear. One day, he notices he's worked for hours without wrestling with procrastination. One morning, he feels the instinct to start moving the moment he wakes up. These small, silent, but powerful moments mark the shift from forced action to voluntary drive. The Stoic doesn't celebrate too soon. He knows flow must be maintained daily through the same disciplined rituals that built it. The Stoic training process has no final destination. Every day is a new beginning. Every day tests your loyalty to the ideal of right action. And in that tireless repetition, a new kind of human is forged, steady, self-possessed, and no longer defeated by cowardly spells of laziness. When you practice correctly, laziness disappears from your life. It's not crushed under brute force, nor tricked away with cheap motivational games. It simply vanishes, like darkness dissolves when light appears. Work stops being a battle of willpower and becomes your natural rhythm. You act not because you must, but because it's your true nature. The energy you once wasted battling yourself is now freed for creativity, for personal growth, for building lasting value. You no longer wake each morning dreading the fight inside your own mind. You no longer carry the guilt of tasks undone. You stand tall, clear-eyed, and act as a free man, the only kind of true freedom. The man who has mastered himself. And that is the ultimate reward. Not perfection, not instant success, but a return to the natural order of life, to act without deceit, without delay. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.